now we get to the cab.
Exactly. Now we move to Bordeaux. In talks of Bordeaux, we move to the cab. Cab, obviously not a Rhone varietal, but Beckman felt that they had a great area for it and that it would do really well, and it, I believe, does. I've had this before in previous vintages and have loved it. Again, this is, I think, a 2008, 2007, so this is their second year of doing it as a biodynamically farmed vineyard, so a much cleaner version. You get none of the process, none of the sulfites, none of the product in your vineyards. Anything that comes in, they fight with something natural. You put birds in to fight pests. You put specific bugs in to fight birds. I mean, you do different things to fight different things that are all natural versus any pesticides or chemicals. So getting into the cab, this can see again, like the Syrah, heavy, inky, dark, rich fruit.
This is definitely filet mignon territory.
Yes, yes. This is where you get into the real steak wine. Oh my goodness, that nose.
It just comes right up out of the glass, folks. I mean, it's hard to even explain. I mean, well, Marcus can explain it better than I can. But the idea is that, you know, you lift this glass up to your nose and it immediately just comes right up in there and it just takes a fist.
Yes.
Hello, here I am.
Exactly.
You know?
My first hobby being music, this is a wine that sings right. I mean, you can't get any better than a cab that has a nose and a bouquet like this. I mean, oak, blackberry, you get a little bit of licorice. I mean, you get subtle hints of this and that, burnt sugar. I mean, tobacco. It's got so
But it's got some
much.
vanilla too.
Vanilla, yeah, and that comes from oak aging. Vanilla comes from your oak, and that. I mean, you really, it's a well wrapped. I mean, it's like a perfectly seasoned steak. Essentially, you put the right seasonings on a steak, it doesn't matter. You're gonna love it. And this cab, I'm guessing based on the nose. We haven't even drank this, and we're loving it that much.
It tells you a lot right there.
It does.
Once you've got a good nose, unless it has a finish that just falls off the table, generally speaking, it's going to go right through to
it's
the
a
end.
home run.
Say, yeah,
yeah, so let's enjoy our
Cheers.
home run.
And this does not disappoint, folks. The finish goes all the way through.
It doesn't stop. It keeps going after you've finished the wine. It just opens up. I mean, it's unbelievable. There's almost like blueberry in there, and like black currant, and I mean, there's a little bit of spice. Definitely get that tobacco, like that wet tobacco. Really, really juicy black fruit. I mean,
you can just imagine the winemaker spending weeks and months, you know, kind of just playing with the blends. Is that, no, it's not 100% Cabernet, is it? There's a little bit of a mixture, or is it?
You know what, as far as I know, it's 100% Cab, and right there, well, that says 100% estate grown, with lush mouthfeel and long silky tannins, which we definitely found. Cab. It doesn't say anything else on here. And I'm guessing if it had anything else it would say, and I had read up on the winemaker and the vineyards before and didn't see anything about a blend in there. So
well, I can say if this is 100% Cabernet, then that really is a statement about the winemaker, because to be able to get the kinds of flavors that Marcus is talking about, you generally have to put in some Merlot grapes, some Petit Verdot, some kind of extra something to bring that out. So if they were able to do it, exactly, if they were able to do it with 100% Cabernet grapes, that's really outstanding.
Yeah, it says a lot about the crop, it says a lot about the vintage, and it says a lot about the winemaker. Essentially, adding other grapes like you do in the blends gives a winemaker a spice rack. It's like a chef with their spices. You can have a bad crop and throw a little bit of this, throw a little bit of that in, and fix it. But this is, I mean, it's 100% Cab, and it's 100% awesome.
Yeah.
To say the least. I love it.
Cheers again.
So cheers.
Now something else, Marcus, because, you know, again, when you think of this, you know, sort of the Santa Ynez Valley, you think of the area north of Santa Barbara, you think about Pinot Noir, you think about whites, you think about maybe Syrah. It's not an area that's typically known for Cabernet, is it?
No. Well, the thing about this too is the Beckman vineyards are on a hill. or on a mountain rather. And the nice thing about that is that on mountains you have such a vast array of subclimates. I mean, you can have a little pocket where it's more shaded, where it only gets sun during certain hours of the day. So Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, those sorts of grapes grow really well. But then you can have a patch where it's a big open field where you're getting hit with 100% sun. And the more sun that Cab gets, the more it opens up, the more it develops. And I think that they had a patch that was just perfect, and they went with it and they nailed it. I mean, you can grow Cab pretty much anywhere. It is one of the most widely planted red grapes in the world. I believe it's in pretty much every wine country except for maybe Germany and Austria, the ones that are higher.
The northernmost,
exactly,
yes.
and higher in altitude and elevation and latitude. But the Cab grape grows so well everywhere, and the thing about it is, you give it sun, it'll give you good wine. And you, again, deprive it of a little bit of that water, and you put it in soils like limestone.
You make the vines work.
Exactly,
Yes.
make them work, and they will produce, and they will give you what you're looking for. And Beckman was able to create that and really, really developed a fantastic, elegant wine.
Oh, absolutely.
And this wine will age. If you age this for 10 years, you would open it up and just, whew, I can only imagine. I mean, as much as we're enjoying it and as expressive as it is now, letting something like that age, the elegance that it would gain from that would be fantastic.
Well, isn't it true, Marcus, that a lot of winemakers now in their Cabernets, they're trying to kind of hit that fine balance between having a wine that you could literally open up as soon as you buy it and drink it now, and then also at the same time have something that has aging capacity.
Exactly. It is true, and I think that's why more winemakers are playing with different things, playing with blends, playing with lighter grapes, because they kind of want to give it all to you, but they don't necessarily have the ability to give it all to you in every bottle. So they try, and this is fantastic, but it's been held back. This is the wine that they've released now, and it's the 07. So winemakers themselves now, and good winemakers have been doing this for a long time, they'll age their own bottles and they won't release them for sale until they feel like you can pop it and drink it, or you can set it down and age it. But because it says 07, in 2017, that's been 10 years.
Right.
But now it's been 3 years already, so it's ready to go, ready to drink, but the winemaker themselves held it back and didn't let it out until they thought that it was ready to drink. So,
well, what's interesting is, I mean, for those people who actually have seen the movie Sideways, there's a scene in which one of the characters talks about how wine is a living thing and how it tastes different tomorrow than it did today or the day before. And it really is interesting to think about, laying things down. If you find a wine you really like, to buy a case of it and to drink one bottle when you get the case, and then maybe drink a bottle a year after that, and a year after that, and a year after that, and kind of compare how it's changing over time, because it does change over time.
Yes, entirely. And that's a fun way to do it, actually. If you do find a wine that you know will age, that's a great way to do it. Especially because not only do you always have wine that you're ready to go with, but you are always learning something about that wine, and you are essentially educating yourself along the way. So you could have a party where you have, every year you go through and you have a party, maybe your birthday, maybe something special occasion, and you do that, maybe an anniversary. But the fun thing about aging wine, especially the way you said, where you get a case, or you get 6 bottles, or you get however many, and you get to experience them over time, is you really do start to understand what the oxidation process does to wine. Taking it, opening it, and drinking a glass, and pouring it through a decanter or through an aerator will give you the same kind of ideas, but aging it is such a, it's unprecedented. You can't change what actual natural aging with a cork does. And that's the fabulous thing about cork and about the beginnings of wine, is that they figured out in the beginning cork was a great seal, and we still use it. So I think anytime you are playing with wine, take chances, play with it. If you find something like this Beckman Cabernet, Cabernet. 4 wines deep, and I'm already saying it wrong. If you find something like the Beckman Cabernet, where you do feel comfortable aging it, buy a case and play with it that way. You will really enjoy yourselves, and you'll enjoy your experience with that wine that much more. So again, thank you for joining me, David.
Absolutely.
And
Cheers.
thank you for joining us. Cheers.